Hi everybody, this is Roger Jollifrey and welcome to another unboxing video. This time we're looking at ZZ Top, the complete studio albums 1970 to 1990. Now this is a box set that came out in 2013 when I was 15 years of age, containing all the albums from ZZ Top's first album to Recycler, so about 2/3 of their discography. But I liked some of the songs on the later albums like Antenna from 1994, Rhythmine from 1996, XXX from 1999, and Mescalero from 2003. And I've never heard anything from La Futura from 2012. I'd recommend they release another box set with those 5 albums and call it the Complete Studio Albums 1994 to 2012, but this is more than enough. Let's read what you get in this. Okay, the Complete Studio Albums 1970 to 1990, 2 decades, 100 tracks, features original mixes of 10 classic albums on CD, including for the first time ZZ Top's first album, Rio Grande Mud and Tias, all albums in card wallets with original artwork. I heard that in the 1980s they remixed the CDs and the fans hated it, but I loved it, especially the song It's Only Love. But other than that, this is one of the greatest box sets of all time. Here's the back of the box with the 10 albums mentioned, and they're all produced by Bill Ham. He was the producer for nearly all the albums by ZZ Top, and this will be a tribute to him, who passed away about a week ago. I got this for €40, so about €4 each. Oh, what a bargain. So let's get this thing opened up. ZZ Top is one of my all-time favourite bands, and personally, my favourite 3-piece band, besides the Kiss trio of Gene Simmons, Paul Stanley and Eric Carr. I'd be interested to know what your favourite 3-piece band is in the comment section below. This video is dedicated to a friend of mine called Harry Fennell, a ZZ Top fan, who can play Lagrange on the guitar very well, and he also told me he loves the moves and what they did with the guitar. And this video is also dedicated to the following: Adam Hempton, David Donaghue, and Chris Gonzalez, who are part of the ZZ Top tribute band. So when you open this up, the strange thing is you don't get a booklet in this, but I don't care about that. I'm an expert on ZZ Top as I'm a huge fan of them, but the music speaks for itself. Now for the albums. The only album I listened to a lot online was the 8th one, so we'll get there in a minute or two. So here's their debut album, ZZ Top's first album from 1971. And the stupid thing is that the box set is 1970. Usually an artist's first album is released in the year first mentioned in the box set. But anyway, this was 1971. And here's the back cover. And they remind me of Cream nearly, because Cream was kind of influenced by ZZ Top with that blues genre. And I think ZZ Top even inducted Cream to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and Keith Richards of the Rolling Stones inducted ZZ Top to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And yeah, you can see Frank Beard is labelled as Rube Beard, and one of them looks a bit like Eric Clapton nearly. And I love this album. It's very good blues rock. I especially love Somebody Else Been Shaking Your Tree, Brown Sugar, which is actually a Rolling Stones song, but it's not the Stones version, it's a complete different song altogether. Squonk, Going Down to Mexico, Neighbor Neighbor, and Backdoor Love Affair. Love the music in that. Now for the discs, I'll pull out only one of them because they all look the same, but this is just a sample of it. They look a bit identical to the CDs that came out in the 80s, so people are like, oh my god, we have to listen to these terrible mixes again. But no, they just go with the same labels, so that's okay. And as I said in the beginning, this is the original mix version when it came out on CD for the first time. Very underrated, as are ZZ Top. They're mainly known for Gimme All Your Lovin', Sharp Dressed Man, Legs, and of course Lagrange, and so much more. Incredible music. Their second album, Rio Grande Mud, from 1972. And this album was part of the original album series of ZZ Top, where they picked 5 albums into a box set, and this was one of them. And a few weeks back, they released a ZZ Top Original Album Series Volume 2, and ZZ Top's first album was released in that one. And this is a really good album. This is also the original mix version of the album when it came out on CD first. Plus, the production is better on this album. Next came their breakthrough album in 1973, Tres Hombres, which means 3 men in Spanish, meaning the 3 band members. And this album was also part of the original album series Volume 1, and it includes their most famous song of all time, the blues rock song, Lagrange. But the whole album is really good. The first two albums don't actually replicate the gatefold, but this one does. Just like the vinyl. Classic album this is. And this was... And all of these are the original mixed versions of these albums, so even though this is the 2006 remastered version, even though it came with bonus tracks, we don't get them on this, which is a bit upsetting, but what can you do? And this album comes with other big hits like Waiting for the Bus, Jesus Just Left Chicago, Beer Drinkers and Hellraisers, Master of Sparks, Chic. This is just an amazing album, one of my favourite albums of all time. This is probably my second favourite ZZ Top album. And ZZ Top is definitely my top 20 favourite artists of all time. And maybe close to a top 15. Then after that came the unique half live and half studio album from 1975, Fandango, which was almost as good. I liked it. Of course, it included the hit Tush. And yeah, look at the back cover. You can tell that we're in the mid-70s because I said 1975. The clothing reminds me of the clothes that Sly and the Family Stone, Marvin Gaye and Stevie Wonder wore on the Soul Train Festival. And it comes with other big hits like Blue Jean Blues, Heard on the X, and Underbird, which is on the live version, on the live side of this album. And they even do a version of Jailhouse Rock by Elvis Presley, and Jerry Lee Lewis covered it too. And it's sung by Dusty Hill, the bass player. And he also sang Tush too. He sure has a cool voice. This album was also released in the original album series Volume 1, and we don't get the bonus tracks like it does on the single disc version. The group's fifth album, Tias, which means Texas, the band's home state, from 1976. And yeah, you can see this album has the artist's name in the album title, whereas the others I've so far mentioned don't. I think Tres Hombres might have one because of the gatefold, but speaking of gatefold, this also replicates the original vinyl with a trifold, with the gatefold here. I love that picture of Dusty Hill and Billy Gibbons doing their showmanship. And this is also the original mixed version of the album when it first came out on CD, and when I heard the original mixed version of the song, It's Only Love, I was like, oh no, I much prefer the remixed 80s version so I can hear the drums clearly. But I obviously would get the original mixed version, so I can't be helped, but I can still enjoy it. And this was also released in the original album series Volume 2. I think the song It's Only Love should have been a hit. I might leave a link for a good few ZZ Top songs so you can check them out. You've heard Give Me Only Love and Drop Dress Man, so I won't have a link for that one. Then they took a hiatus for about 3 years, and when they came back, they grew their signature beards, which they are known for to this day. Just Billy Gibbons and Dusty Hill, whereas Frank Beard only wears a mustache, which is quite funny. But when they came back, they released 1979's Donaghue. This is one of my favourite album covers of all time, and the back cover, with the band members' names written inside their instruments. On some of these songs, all three members play saxophones. Billy Gibbons plays baritone sax, Dusty Hill plays tenor sax, and Frank Beard plays alto sax. The one thing that I think that would have been cool for these albums is that there were sleeves for the discs, because there's no inner sleeves in any of these. But as long as they're all safe in this beautiful box set, we don't need to worry about it. And they even do a version of Dust My Broom from probably my favourite blues musician of all time, Robert Johnson. Although Muddy Waters, B.B. King, Buddy Guy, Bucko White, Blind Willie Johnson, Mississippi John Hurt, and all those blues musicians are really good too. You know, I'm a big fan of blues music. And I'll leave a link below for that one if I remember. And this was also released in the original album series Volume 1. So if you're really into blues rock music, it's worth your money's getting this box set, unless you know ZZ Top fan like me. Now we enter the 1980s, and then the group released their seventh album, El Loco, meaning the crazy one in Spanish, from 1981. I love that front cover. You can tell that they're dancing nearly to Mexican music. And this was also released in the original album series Volume 2. Oops Snake Boogie, the very first song. I'll leave a link below so you can check it out. And I might leave a link for the song Don't Tease Me, as it sounds like the Kiss song Let's Put the X in Sex with that plagal cadence. And now, the best ZZ Top album in my opinion, and the only album of theirs I never get sick of listening to. Eliminator, from 1983. And this is the album that broke them into the mainstream. And I love all the hits. Give Me Only Lovin', Got Me Under Pressure, Sharp Dressed Man, I Need You Tonight, I Got the Six, Legs, TV Dinners and Bad Girl. I love this album. And this was also released in the original album series Volume 1, and if it wasn't, I'd go bonkers and strip my clothes off. No, actually I wouldn't do that. I would just say, The original album series Volume 1 wouldn't have been the same without this classic album, or else it could have been in Volume 2, but at least it's in Volume 1, which is great. Sharp Dressed Man was even used as the theme song for the show Duck Dynasty, so that's why these songs are still popular to this date. And that's why, and in the video to Give Me All Your Lovin', it has the signature car. That's why I love the front cover so much. And in the video you can see when the car drives past, the members go like this. This is definitely my top 30 favourite albums of all time. Then after that came Afterburner from 1985. This album came out a few years after Eliminator, and it was kind of disappointing on first listen, but now I think it's one of their best. I'd say ZZ Top was probably at the top of their game with this album, with the synthesizers, keyboards and things like that. There's no real interest on this. The only thing that sounds right is the guitar. The song Can't Stop Rockin' was used in the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 3 movie, and the song Velcro Fly was an element of the Dark Tower 3 The Wasteland. I'll leave links below for both those songs if you want to check them out. And there's a song on here called Sleeping Bag, and on that song I get the vibe of Depeche Mode, who had big hits like Personal Jesus, of which Johnny Cash covered. And I'll leave a link below for that one too if I remember. And even the song Rough Boy, which is a fan favourite. I'll do the same for that one as well. This was also released in the original album series Volume 2. And last, but certainly not least, the final Warner Brothers or London album from 1990, Recycler, which was a great name for the album because of Afterburner repeating the same formula of Eliminator. Because to me, Eliminator and Afterburner are like the only two albums that sound so similar to each other. And that's when most people lost interest in ZZ Top after that, and this is a lot of people's least favourite album of theirs in this box set, but I think it's an okay album. The song Double Back was used in the Back to the Future 3 movie soundtrack and movie, and I might leave a link below for that one if I remember. And there's a song on here called Love Thing, and that's the first song I heard on this album, and it blew my mind the first time, and I've heard people saying that song is very forgettable, and I strongly disagree. I think it's the best track on this album, and I'll leave a link below for that one if I remember. But that's just your opinion if you like it or not. This was also released in the original album series Volume 2. So there you go. That's ZZ Top, the complete studio albums 1970 to 1990. I hope you've learned a lot about the career of ZZ Top and the way that the albums were made. I know the fans were a bit disappointed about the 1980s remixes, but what can you do? And remember to leave me a comment on what you think of the ZZ Top box set. And I do wish that in a few years' time they would release the complete studio albums 1994 to 2012. So if they do, you would get the following: Antenna, Rhythmine, XXX, Mescalero, and La Futura. Or else they can make ZZ Top Original Album Series Volume 3 with those albums in it. It's worth your money's buying this box set. Even if you're not a crazy fan, it is worth it. For those people who like blues rock and don't have this, you are missing out. This to me is the best box set that I ever bought. I love the shape of it, the ZZ Top label, everything about this box I love. And I do wish that the complete studio albums 1994 to 2012 comes out in a few years' time, or ZZ Top Original Album Series Volume 3 with the last 5 albums. Yeah, I said it. I said it again. What are you going to do about it? Alright guys, and remember to subscribe to my channel for more exciting videos. Remember to share the link on your timeline and leave a comment below on what you think of this. Rest in peace, Bill Ham. Thank you for watching. Bye bye.